it is currently 11 p.m. and my iPad is at 36%, so I'm gonna try to get this done as fast as possible. I want to preface this whole thing by saying I am not associated with anyone involved at all, in the sense that I'm not associated with film theory or game theory or any subsidies of them. I'm not associated with Disney or Gravity Falls or Alex Hirsch. I'm just a fan expressing his opinions. This is not a hate piece or a hit piece on film theory. No hate to film theory. I'm a fan of both film theory and Gravity Falls. Like I said, this is just entirely my opinion. On that note, film theory did not understand the Book of Bill at all. I have read the Book of Bill in its entirety. I am in the process of annotating it. I feel like I have some sort of authority on the topic, just because I'm absolutely obsessed with this book. I feel like film theory's analysis of it is extremely surface level and ignores some of the most important themes of the book. So for starters, according to the film theory crew themselves, no one on the team, or at least no one who had a part in that video, had read the book in its entirety themselves. Like, they'd been tackling it in chunks. Like, each team member had read a different part of the book at time of creating the video. So I feel like that already does not set a good precedent for what this video contains. One of the things that stuck out to me the most when I watched the film theory video, spoilers for the Book of Bill by the way, if not obvious, was that the missing Journal 3 pages, or the section labeled Sixer, one of the most important parts of the book, in my opinion, was nearly completely glossed over, and it got under my skin because not only is that one of my favorite parts of the book, but as said, I think it is one of the most important parts of the book, if not the most important part. My reason for thinking that is, one, not only does it reveal more of what Ford's life was like while building the portal, it also reveals more about their dynamic, more about Bill's side of the story. In a way, even though it is told from Ford's perspective, you still get a lot more information about what Bill was like during that time. And at the end of it, after we finish the journal 3 pages, we get some interesting information that I'll go into more detail about later once I get to the whole Oracle and Bill thing. Jesus. That is just completely glossed over by film theory, and I don't know, that got under my skin. That annoyed me a little bit. The whole video barely acknowledges Ford at all. Like, the most I remember them acknowledging him was they were like, oh, he says this thing at the beginning and at the end and warns the reader not to read the book, when it's like, that is probably one of the least significant things that happens involving Ford in the book. I can't overstate how important Ford is in this book. I mean, and just to the story of Gravity Falls as a whole, to just basically pretend that he doesn't have any impact on this story is wild to me. Another thing that I found film theory glossed over a lot was the Silly Straw page, which, if you don't know, there's a page dedicated to Bill's love for silly straws. And, you know, maybe they'll get more into this when they cover thisisnotawebsite.com.com. I don't know, that video's not out yet, but there's a lot of secret codes on that page specifically that tell a lot, like a significant amount of Bill's backstory that film theory just, like, didn't even bother with, which I found weird, because it's like that page is covered in codes. Would you not want to solve those? The gist is that Bill, born in a 2D world, is able to see the third dimension and look up, where everyone else in his world is only able to see technically in one dimension. And the point of the Silly Straw page specifically is to do with the fact that Bill's parents would take him to the eye doctor to deal with this whole seeing the third dimension thing. And from what I and other fans have gathered, it seems to be the doctor prescribed some sort of drink that Bill would only drink through a silly straw. And, like I said, this is discussed more in depth on thisisnotawebsite.com.com, so maybe that's something they'll tackle in the follow-up video, but it still stuck out to me as, like, something They mention the silly straw page, if I remember correctly. Look, I'm not rewatching the video for this, I'm sorry. But like I said, they kind of just glossed over all the important stuff on that page. Now, to be fair, credit where credit is due, they did mention Bill's parents, Euclidia, the fact that Bill destroyed his home dimension, all that brought up good stuff. The thing that stuck out to me was that they did not mention the eye doctor, because I feel like what happened with him and the doctor and all that good stuff is important to him as a character. And I say that only because it is mentioned so much in the book, on the website. There are so many allusions to this eye doctor and the experience that Bill had with that, especially in the references to The Great Gatsby. The password to the website is TJ Eckelberg, which is the eye doctor in The Great Gatsby. So it's the password to the website. It feels important to me. Now let's get into the real reason why I'm making this video. In the Book of Bill, there are a lot of allusions to love, romance, exes, which seems strange in the context of Bill's cipher, this all-powerful being who doesn't really seem the romantic type. In Film Theory's video, they believe the reason for this is that the Oracle is Bill's ex, and that's what all this is pointing to. Which is absolutely fascinating to me, considering that the Oracle is barely mentioned. There is practically nothing said about them. Like, the most evidence that Film Theory had for this is that on the Hinged Maniacs page, the Oracle is crossed out, and Bill has a little note that's like, not important or something like that. And, like, I don't want to write this off as a total impossibility, because it is possible, technically, but I find it absolutely fascinating that Film Theory jumps to absolutely insane conclusions based on next to nothing, instead of acknowledging the very obvious queer subtext that is staring them right in the face. And you see what I've been drawing, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And you know what? No, this is not just queer subtext, it is text at this point, with everything that was said in the Book of Bill, especially in the Missing Journal 3 pages. It is practically text. It hurt me a little that the possibility was not even acknowledged, that we would rather just, let's just shove that off to the side. That's a little too gay. Let's keep it heterosexual, alright? Let's keep things hetero. And this is part of why I was so pissed off that the Missing Journal 3 pages were barely even mentioned, because it felt deliberate. I'm not saying it was deliberate, but it certainly felt deliberate. At the end of the Journal 3 pages, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I want to go into a little more detail now. Bill handles what is essentially Ford breaking up with him like a breakup, and it is played this way. He goes out to a bar called O'Sadley's, that's important. He gets drunk off his ass, and he takes it like a bad breakup. At the very end of the book, we see messages from the Pines talking directly to Bill, and Mabel's specifically mentions and goes into detail about how Bill acts like a needy ex. And to me, it kind of feels like, because the relationship was very clearly toxic and awful, abusive, I would say, that it's easier to just ignore it and not acknowledge it and not talk about those parts of the relationship, because not only is it abusive, it's also queer. Because it's like, I almost guarantee if Ford was a girl or Bill was more femme-presenting, they most certainly would have touched on this as a possibility. I'm not even joking. When you type divorce, or I think breakup also leads to this, when you type that into the website, you get the card for O'Sadley's, the place where Bill went after his quote-unquote breakup with Ford. There's this constant mention of Bill needing to move on because he acts like an ex. And I'm not trying to accuse Film Theory of anything with this. I think I understand why this happened, and it was not malicious. At least, God, I hope it wasn't malicious. To be honest, I think this is a symptom of a larger problem with mainstream media and just non-queer people not being able to understand that something is queer if it isn't blatantly queer. And to be honest with you, I would call this blatantly queer, but I am not a cishet person, so I don't know what their thought process is like. And obviously, I can't say for 100% certain that Bill and Ford were definitely intended to be lovers, but for pretty much all of history that includes queer people in media, we have been pushed to the side, erased, ignored, and it's difficult to find stories like this where it is so obvious. And I think what happened with Film Theory's video is, one, a problem with cohesion, not reading the book in its entirety, splitting it up into chunks that caused problems, and two, a symptom of this larger issue of queer erasure that persists to this day and has become subconscious for a lot of people, in the sense that you don't even realize you're doing it. It's just that, oh, well, they didn't kiss and make out, so they must not be gay, right? And for most cishet people, the thought doesn't even cross their mind. There's this automatic assumption that all characters are heterosexual until proven otherwise, even if that assumption is subconscious. As said, I don't believe this was malicious on Film Theory's part. I just believe they kind of dropped the ball on this one, and that they maybe rushed it out or something because it was just extremely surface level and didn't cover a lot of the most important details that were revealed in the book. And that the fact that the automatic assumption was that, oh, it must be this female character or this femme-presenting character is a symptom of a larger issue. That's my little rant. Sorry I'm annoying. Sorry I'm an annoying gay who's weird about fictional characters. Thank you for listening. Okay, bye.